Have y'all heard of the term soaking or quaking, of a way of getting around weird religious rules in order to brown chicken brown cow? Well, let me tell you something. I actually dated a former Mormon, and I have some stories. I just want to get into this because I saw this yesterday, and y'all know I have been covering I covered purity culture a lot, and whatever, like at the Church of Christ I went over the other day, and how my friend realized she was in a cult, and how I will try to remember to link that video. But I want to talk about Mormonism because I've oddly spent a lot of time with them because I worked in Wyoming, and there's an enormous population of Mormons in Wyoming. And so I learned a lot about Mormonism through just being around them a lot. And then I started finding out more, and I was like, wow. But I'm going to share my own stories, or several stories, in a minute. But first I want to go over these terms because I had never actually heard of these. But of course, this is what apparently allegedly happened. And then I'm going to tie it all together to some other stuff. Because if you're new here, first of all, follow my Patreon. That's where I talk about being an elder, being in France, being an outdoor guide, creativity, writing. That's where I do lives. I do all kinds of stuff. Link is in my caption. Now, as somebody who was like very strict in the like purity culture mentality, and like was just like literally didn't even know what my little kitty cat even looked like. I mean, I was too ashamed to even hold a mirror down there, too afraid to like touch the kitty cat for a long time. Didn't get my first like vibrator until I was in my, I don't know, almost mid-30s. I was just I had this like very like black and white, you know, Madonna idea around this stuff. All these really vague, not vague, very strict rules that also made no sense. And so I actually, just because of my own, schmexual trauma from childhood, and then all kinds of other stuff, and then my conditioning and indoctrination and all these things, and being a white girl in the South, trying to learn about this stuff, but no one talks about it, and blah, blah, blah. I could actually relate a lot to having urges that go against what I'm supposed to do, and just being in constant conflict. Now, I have come a long way from being like terrified of this and how to deal with this to, you know, writing this for the Daily Beast about, you know, going from like purity culture to like going to Schmeg's club in France, having threesomes, all kinds of stuff for the whole world to read about my Schmeg's life. This is one of the favorite things I've ever written. That's also for the Daily Beast. Anyway, I've written about hooking up in like, I don't know, at least a dozen articles for the Daily Beast and Glamour, blah, blah, blah. There is a link in my caption to all the articles I've written if you want to read any of them. So I have navigated this internal conflict of like wanting to be a hoe, but being told not to be a hoe. So let's just get into this and how ridiculous this is. By ridiculous, I mean the rules. So this is one of my old buddies from comedies from the UCB. We were in improv class together. This is Dan. He's one of the few cishet white men that I even listen to. He's really funny. He was also in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, if you like that shit. Anyway, I haven't seen him since New York or whatever, but you know, I still follow him on social media. He did this whole really great joke about quaking and soaking in like Mormon world. I like to give credit where credit is due, so that's why I started thinking about this and looking into it more. So what is soaking according to Wikipedia? I'm being real safe here since I got a video demonetized yesterday for reasons I don't understand. So I'm hoping you can figure this out. But what is soaking? It is the practice of inserting the into the, but not subsequently thrusting or reportedly used by some members of the Mormon Church. Some people say it is a urban legend, blah, blah, blah. But I don't believe it. I'm going to tell you why in a minute from my own experience with some Mormons. Again, if you're Mormon, I do have nothing against you. And actually, if you are a former Mormon or a Mormon who just wants to share, or just if anybody knows more about this, please drop it in my comment. I love learning about things. All I know is from the research I've done and my own lived experiences. So I'm sure y'all have something to add. But why would they have, so the reason why it makes sense to me is it serves as a loophole to the church's codes of this stuff and law of chastity. Gotta love that word, because brown cow outside of marriage is a sin. also bars, which again, anytime you ban that, you are just creating sexual predators, if you ask me. Like, if you can't do it out there and you can't explore your own body, like, God, it's like pushing a beach ball down underwater. And the farther you push it, the more it's going to shoot up, right? Of course, some people, news outlets, like, no, they don't do that. Maybe they don't. But the reason why I would not be surprised is because there's always loopholes when you have these crazy rules. And how would you even know? Who is going to report, yeah, I'm soaking, I'm shaking? By the way, what is shaking? So as Danny said, I had never heard of this before, but apparently soaking is when you like put it in and don't move. And shaking is when someone shakes the bed while you're doing that. Like, hey, that sounds a little ridiculous to me. If people are actually doing it and at the same time saying that they're not doing this, then like, what? Like, anyway, the reason why I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually something people do is because this one dude in 1885, when their top leaders, a 73-year-old Apostle Albert Carrington, argued during the hearing before execution that his decades of extramarital affairs with multiple younger women, I would love to know how young they are. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, this church is a mess. Was not adultery. It's just a little folly. Like, to say that it was a little folly and not an affair with younger women, let's just say they're not women, but whatever. Because you only put, just a tip, less than 4 inches, hold out before. So if that dude is like documented having said that, and he was like an elder, first of all, there's much bigger problems than shaking. Sorry, soaking. Soaking is such a gross term anyway. There's much bigger problems than soaking in that story. Like, anyway, but if that dude went on record to say that, you don't think that more people are doing that? Like, and the reason why I find this funny is because when I was a raft guide, this is me in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, as a raft guide. I was a guide in Taos, New Mexico for many years, and Washington on the Olympic Peninsula, and Jackson Hole for 1 year. This is Jackson Hole. If you've never been, it is honestly probably one of the prettiest plates in the United States. For those who saw my Yellowstone video yesterday, this is literally touches the border of Yellowstone. So you got to go here if you go there. But anyway, so we used to take rafting trips, sometimes overnight rafting trips. And I know y'all said that you like my old stories of being a guy when I sprinkle them into my commentary. So we took a ton of Mormons down. Like, I don't know. Anyway, we just had tons of Mormons. And the reason why I knew they were Mormons, I would have never known. I don't care. The reason why I knew is because we always had to bring a ton of hot cocoa because they weren't allowed to drink caffeine or something. Like, this was back, I don't know. Their rules always depend on who owns what, okay? So, like, I don't know. Please tell me if I'm wrong. But my understanding, because I was like, why are they drinking so much hot cocoa? We would have to like bring an insane amount of hot cocoa on our overnight trips if we knew they were like a Mormon church group or Mormon family. Or we actually just started bringing it all the time in case they were, because they wouldn't drink caffeine, like caffeinated beverages, because I guess that was like one of the rules. Although from what I understand, that's not a rule anymore because like someone there owns Pepsi. I don't know. But all I know is like I didn't understand, like our food had to revolve around them, like not like, you know, we had to get caffeine-free tea, caffeine-free coffee, and a crap ton of hot cocoa because you can't drink Coke because it's got caffeine, but you can drink 8 cups of hot cocoa before you go to bed at 11 o'clock at night on the river while camping. How that makes any sense to me. So that was my second introduction to rules that are kind of meant to be broken in that faith. And again, maybe I'm wrong based on that one, but one summer, so I went to the University of Montana, and one summer, Elder, I'm not gonna say their name just for their privacy, knocked on our door. It was me and 4 other like 20-year-olds or something who all lived in this kind of nasty house way far away from campus. It was really cheap. And the reason why the rent was so cheap is because Lambros, the real estate agency, had to find people to move in there really quickly, and we arrived in town way too late because the owner had been forced to leave the state because he was the soccer coach for school soccer coach, and he was pending a trial for, I'm going to let you wonder what it was about. By the way, he came back and knocked on our door and came and sat and told us all about the case and what he was found guilty of. God, I got to tell that story. Anyway, also their neighbor said that his family was eating rabbits in the backyard. Whatever. Oh, I've had the most random life. So one summer, these two Mormon missionaries with their, white shirt and their little black name tag, elder, blah, 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 knock on our door. We were hungover from, this wasn't summer. This was the spring, like the end of the semester. Knock on our door and want to talk to us about their religion. And my roommate was like, you can come in and have breakfast with us but you're not allowed to talk about your religion. And they were like, okay. So they came in and had breakfast with us. And I think they just loved being around 5 women 20-year-olds in college, all hungover, who were pretty funny. And they came over every single day that summer. And while they were on their mission, they came over, we could not get these guys to go away. And you know what? The funny thing is that they were really cool. They're fun to hang out with. And I think they just liked being surrounded by sin, but not participating in the sin, because we were like smoking and drinking and whatever. One of my roommates hooked up with a dude, and elder walked in the next morning, and they were in bed asleep, and lines of on the bed and thing, and he was like, hey, and she was like, get out of here, blah. They just loved being around us, partying and drinking and doing things that they're not allowed to do. And at the same time, both of them were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. But certain things, like they never drank, they never smoked, they're not supposed to be watching television. But guess who came over to our place to watch the NBA finals and all kinds of stuff on our TV, which they don't have and they're not allowed to watch. They're also not supposed to be alone with women. Well, they come over no matter how many were there and just hang out. Apparently they're not supposed to be playing music or anything like that. They got in trouble because they borrowed one of my roommate's guitar and were playing it, and then elder something who's in charge of them saw it and whatever. I don't know. I don't understand the rules. But all I know is that these dudes were literally on a 2-year mission going around preaching about some stuff and breaking certain rules that they felt like breaking while on the mission. Now, honestly, if I was on a mission, I wouldn't want to follow any of those rules. I wouldn't go on a mission to begin with. But I was being why are you on this? And then sometimes they tell us about some of the things in their little book when we asked, and I'm like, that sounds really racist. And they're like, no, because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, anyway, we finally, I actually liked hanging out with these dudes, even though I had nothing in common with them, and really and I didn't even know how anti-LGBTQ plus they were. I didn't know anything about that religion at all until I moved out west and was just in proximity to so many Mormons. And then with Prop 8 was the thing in California where the Mormon church literally ruined policy, whatever. Oh my God. So once I started having more education about the thing that they were doing policy-wise, I'm like, yeah, I just can't imagine myself hanging out with any of them because they don't see a lot of my friends as anything but evil. And yet at the same time, I've never met a Mormon that I didn't like in terms of them just being so nice. But then as a white woman from the South, I understand that being nice and kind are not the same. And some of the nicest people from my part of the country are the most terrifying. These girls. Hi. I know my people in our history, so nice is not always a good thing. Now, I'm actually going to share this part on here today, but this is the kind of stuff that I would share on my Patreon because I've just been realizing I want more of my private stories. Not on a website where family and people, whatever, podcast bros and all those dudes cannot watch and comment, and then I have to block and delete, blah, blah, blah. But I will share this one here. But when I dated this former Mormon, when I was a raft guide, he works for another company. I won with this story at the Moth, by the way, years ago. I don't have a recording of it. I wish I did. Because I didn't realize how crazy it was until people in the audience were like, Anyway, former Mormon, worked for our enemy, our arch nemesis rafting company, like the whatever. It's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of story put on the river. Like they didn't, like no one liked this company, and so it was like forbidden romance. Anyway, I had a little crush on him, and the first night I met him at a bar, in the back of his truck in the town hall, like the center of the town. This place, if you've ever been to Jackson, like right near this place, forked in the back of a truck. Anyway, look at how he's laying right now. Like a little frog dog. Anyway, forked in the back of a truck. And then we just started like dating, but like this was one of my few pauses from my celibacy. Y'all know I was like celibate for most of my 20s and half my 30s. And I had little breaks where I'd try, and then I'd be like, okay, I clearly can't handle this responsibility. So then I would just go celibate again for years. So I started hanging out with him. And he was actually really sweet. He was like one of the only men on the river that was not like toxically masculine. Y'all know I've told stories about being on the river and how they I was like one of the boys and they harassed me and rolled me in mud and all kinds of stuff. Let me know if you want that story again. Or you can read about it yourself in this Outside Magazine story I wrote about being around a bunch of bros in the outdoor world and how it made me like a toxically masculine feminist, for lack of a better term, or like cool girl, pick me, whatever. It's a survival mechanism, but also like that culture is so toxic. So anyway, he lived in a house though, and I'm sleeping in my truck in parking lots, literally parking lot. I couldn't afford the rent there, and I wanted privacy, and so I couldn't afford whatever. Anyway, I couldn't afford a room. It's so expensive in Jackson. And I was like, it's the summertime, I live in my truck anyway. I've been living in my truck for over a year at this point, but there's nowhere to park there because everything is private land or like state park or like whatever. It's all very controlled, which is good, right? So for like, there's not much development, but it's like not great when you have a housing crisis and a bunch of people who make like not very much money living in a town with millionaires and billionaires. So I slept, I couldn't even sleep in the Kmart parking lot. They forbid it because there's so many people like me. So I was sleeping in an apartment complex parking lot, but I have to stay out late every night to go sneak into it. So I go to like the movies. So I'm spending like $6 or $7 a day. That's what it costs in that town to watch movies that I didn't even care about. I saw Men in Black 2 more than once. I think it was the second one. Slept through the whole thing. I'm narcoleptic. It's hard for me to not fall asleep during movies. And then I'd like roll in after like 11 o'clock at night and then go to sleep and wake up at 6 a.m. and raft all day. So this was a kind of tiring summer, just working all day, and then like hanging out until late so that I could just go and park my truck somewhere. And so getting this little like former Mormon boyfriend gave me a bed and lights, a flushing toilet, shower. For anyone asking, I did have a gym membership, a membership to the pool, so I could shower there and swim laps and whatever. I like stayed clean. Plus I was on the river all day, and they had a shower at the boathouse. While I was dating this little like hippie former Mormon, first of all, he had a fake ear. His ear was made of part of his rib. They cut out part of his rib to put on a fake ear. I don't understand the logic behind that, but whatever. Anyway, he couldn't hear through it. It was just for like aesthetics. He told me all about Mormonism and how like they know more about me than like I know about myself in terms of records. He told me about the Mormon underwear. He told me that you inherit a universe or a galaxy or a planet or something when you die. Like he told me all this stuff that I was like, what? First of all, I wish I'd asked the elders that were at our house all summer more questions, because this would have been fascinating. But I don't want to hear about the Bible. I want to hear like this stuff. Mormon underwear? These crazy rules? I still don't understand the Mormon underwear thing. Believe me, I have asked. So anyway, I thought I had it bad coming out of purity culture in the South. I thought my friend had it bad coming out of the Church of Christ, where they're not allowed to dance her church because that's like having sex with clothes on, like whatever. But Mormon level purity culture and rules that don't make sense, that the men especially are breaking all the time and also doing illegal, vile things and whatever, and influencing policy, blah, blah, blah. I just like, seriously, anytime there's rules that don't make sense that people are breaking anyway, it's all because of some random crazy dude moved to Utah. I don't know. Anyway, like, okay, here's my thing. I'm somewhat spiritual myself, but I'm not religious. And I don't mind people being religious as long as they are not hiding behind religion and doing really awful things and abusing people and and forcing people to do things or not do things. And when that religion is influencing policy, and when they are, some random dude gets to dictate how women behave in their own bodies, what they can do with their bodies, and that men are entitled to those bodies, and that like anything that is about like controlling a woman's like sexuality, I'm sorry, I'm never going to get behind that. And if other people get behind that, that's fine, but not when it's like whatever, everyone's going to do what they're going to do. But when they're making policy and influencing and paying off politicians, and then like slut shaming me for my life and my content and the stories I talk about, then I have a problem. And then also having like don't have to pay taxes, and then like control local government, control all of this stuff, and then like whatever. Oh my God, y'all. Like, there's so many cults in the U.S. It's just crazy. It's crazy to me that it's like separation of church and state. Like, who are we kidding? Anyway, whatever. This is a bigger topic. I just want to tell you, anytime a man, especially a white man, comes up with some rules that a bunch of people have to follow, you will not convince me that's not a cult. But when they come up with rules that especially involve controlling women's bodies and their relationship to their bodies, you will never convince me that man and that foundation is not on like, and all kinds of crazy things that are harming the entire world, because that stuff isn't healthy for any humans, because it's all tied together, right? They're one thing, they're something else. If they're misogynistic, they're probably homophobic, transphobic, racist, and everything else, you know? Anyway, not the person themselves necessarily, but collectively, Anyway, let me know what you think. I know I have some former Mormons. Y'all know who you are. You talk about it. Feel free to fill me in on any of this stuff, because I still like, even though I know a lot more than I want to know, I do know a lot, but I'm not sure if all of it's true or whatever. Anyway, let's talk. Thank you for being here. Please follow my Patreon, especially because my content is continuing to be suppressed on here. I don't know why. I can't get more than like, I can't get views on my stuff. Tried changing the SEO. I've tried doing all this stuff. I don't know what's going on, but I'm having to do more content on other platforms to make up for it, which is very time consuming. And so I'm working at full capacity on all levels again. And Patreon at least gives me a more stability. That gives me stability when the algorithms are messing with my ability to pay rent. So even if you can't afford to join, just being over there means I have access to talking to you and telling y'all what's up and stuff like that. So yeah, there is a free tier as well for like just random things I want to share. Thank you for being here. If you want to join the lives or have more content or stuff, there's tiers for that over there. Like, comment, share, make sure you're subscribed just in case, because a lot of people get unsubscribed against their will. Set notifications if you actually want to see my stuff, because you may not see my stuff if you don't. And let me know if you want more content like this, because it's definitely kind of random. Et voila! Toot toot.